Lovely. Hello and welcome to episode 143 of the Parapod. You're here with your hosts, Mark and I.
Happy Halloween.
Ooh, happy Halloween.
It's going to be late at this stage. It's going to be like halfway through November by the time this episode comes out.
This is, well, we'll see. We'll see what happens. Yeah, most likely though.
It's the night before Halloween though.
It is, yeah. It's All Hallows Eve. It's the 30th of October here in the pod. And yeah, we're back at it again. This is our fourth Halloween episode.
Does next year mean that if you record on the same day, it'll be Halloween when we record?
Probably not. No.
Yeah,
I don't know how the calendars work.
I don't know how that works. I don't know how that works.
I don't. It's just so random to me. The calendars.
Like, so you ever know, like, some people like, oh, next year Christmas falls on a Sunday. How the fuck do you know that? Or why do you know that?
Well, it's like, you know, and those like document like National Geographic and you know, Channel 4. You see these documentaries like the weirdest freaks in the world and be like the smartest man who ever lived, and he's an IQ of 190 or like 190 or something like that. And he's a genius, but he's a savant, so he has like zero social skills. But if you give him a date, random date, 6th of July 1974, he will tell you what day of the week it was.
Oh, I've seen a fella also do that on TikTok. And I think the way that he remembered it was, this is something completely different to who you're talking about.
Oh, yeah.
They remembered it by, I think, I'm going to say it was like the Super Bowl. Not the Super Bowl. Like, what's a competition that's been running on for years and years and years, like 100 years or whatever?
The Olympics.
But every year.
Every year. The FA Cup final. Yeah.
I think it was something like he knew the date of every FA Cup final and the day, and from that was able to work out what day of the week.
Yeah, I suppose it would always be on a Sunday.
Yeah, or something like that. I can't remember, but it was something like that.
Yeah, sounds like a lot of trouble.
But even like that, it's like, well, I know that's okay. I know, for example, the 30th of October is on a Wednesday this year. I could not tell you any other day or days.
No.
Except for maybe yesterday.
Yeah, like October 31 days. Okay, August 31 days. I know that for a fact.
Mm-hmm.
November? Does November have 31 days?
30 days, September, April, May, and November. 30.
30, just 30. See, I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know off the top of my head. December 31 as well. I know that for a fact. But it's just like there's some of them where it's a bit of a grey zone. I don't know how exactly they're working. It doesn't really matter to me. So it's not. It doesn't impact my life. So honestly, I don't need to remember it.
If you ask me, did February have 28 or 29 days this year? I could not tell you.
Having a breeze.
I have no idea.
I don't care. It doesn't matter.
It
has no impact on my life.
My brain is not retaining that information.
Yeah. It's like it's just kind of irrelevant. But maybe next year we can do it. Well, on Halloween, maybe not.
Probably not.
Yeah.
We could actually. We could just work it around, but probably not.
Probably not. Well, actually, today is Halloween, so maybe we could.
True.
It's the 31st of October. Halloween. No, it's not.
We're lying.
I lied.
Okay. We have so much to talk about.
We have quite a bit. Yeah.
Where do you want to hop in first?
Where do we land?
We just do a horror film.
Let's kick off with a horror movie. I think they're all horror movies.
I think they nearly are, except for one. One is not a horror movie, but okay. Halloween 2018.
Oh,
I decided to rewatch this. One, because it's Halloween. Two, because I have not seen this movie
in yonks.
I've only seen the movie once, and I think it was like 2019 or 2020 that I watched it. So I hadn't watched it like in the build up to the second one and the third one. And I've been wondering, is that movie actually good? It is. It is good. It is good.
It's so good.
It's not as good as I remember it being, though.
Okay.
Like, when's the last time you watched it?
Maybe, probably similar to you. 2020. When it came out, I watched it in cinema. I thought it was great. I was very hyped for it to come out. I saw it in cinemas. I was like, that was great. I wrote a Her Campus article about it.
You remember that? I remember that. What were we doing in that society? We should not have been in society.
I don't know. I was at DCU for the graduation thing. Yeah. I walked past the room where we did our first podcast. Remember that? Yeah, there's a plaque outside it now. This is in this room.
In this room started the pod.
The pod.
Parapod. I couldn't name the podcast for a second.
They made a fucking typo in the plaque. You can't fix that. We paid for it as well. It's gone now.
We had to pay by the letter, so we decided pod was more
It's just
important.
so nondescript. Like, you could refer to anyone.
He started
It's
the
just,
pod.
there's no second names. Just mark it on. But it's all we could afford, you know. But anyway, yeah, I think I've definitely watched it in lockdown. So I say 2020, 2021. Actually, I probably watched it for when we did we went to go see the second one.
Mm-hmm.
We see the third one as well in cinema,
Mm-hmm.
and it was great. Those were great, but I definitely rewatched them at least
Have we
once.
seen a good movie together in the cinema?
A good movie, The Wicker Man.
One that we didn't know
That
was
we
already
hadn't seen.
that we hadn't seen before.
Oh, what was the last film we saw? We saw the Batman.
We did see the Batman.
Batman, yeah.
We haven't seen a movie in a while.
It's been a while.
It's been a while.
Let's go see one.
We should go see one again.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
I don't know what's coming out.
I have
But
no idea either. No idea. We'll find something.
we'll find something to
Yeah,
do. Yeah.
we'll focus this in.
We'll look into it.
But yeah, so I haven't seen it since that. But watching it, I was like, man, there's like parts of this that are like, maybe it's just because it was the first one of like the requels that I've ever seen, like the remake, but it's also a sequel to the original film. There's so many of like that genre. I don't even know what would you even call that type of movie.
Yeah.
That like there's like signifiers. They each have references, like really blatant references to the past, and you know, just references. Like, do you remember this?
Mm-hmm.
That because it was the first one, I don't think I had any problems with all that stuff. Now that I've seen so many of them, I was watching this one, I was like, oh, this movie has it too. I just completely forgot because it's been ages since I've seen it. So some of that I didn't like. But one thing, I forgot to knock on the fire.
Oh, the fire.
I meant to have the fire on
It
in the background.
It's getting cold. It's winter in 24 hours, isn't it?
It's fucking cold, man. But one thing they get right 100% in that movie is Michael Myers. Like, outside of like the original Halloween, I'm not sure. I think it might even be better than the OG in terms of how it depicts Michael Myers. Because I love the fact that in this one it is just like he's like human. In this one he is still human, but he's just a force of nature.
Yeah.
He is just the most traumatic, awful thing that could ever happen to you that just comes into your life and leaves. And the way that like Laurie has been like living her life with fear and trauma, but like he's gonna be coming. But if you watch the movie, it is just by chance. He does not hunt her down. He just happens upon her.
How does he find her again?
He is someone, the doctor that's like the Dr. Loomis of this movie, finds him and brings him to Laurie's gaff so that he can face off against Laurie. But like, if the doctor did not do that, Michael Myers would have just kept roaming around. Like, he was not there for Laurie whatsoever.
Yeah.
And I just he's the most traumatic thing that could ever happen to you. And he does not know who you are and does not care and will not remember you. That is just like such a great depiction of Michael Myers. And the bit where, you know, the first, it's like the tracking shot of him going through the gaff. Like the way that it's shot, it's like he's just walking down the road and like kids bump into him. It's like, oh, it's a callback to the old one. And then he just stops and he just turns at a gaff and he just walks in and just kills everyone just because he could. Like, no reason or anything. And I think that's like the same in the OG. Someone just bumps into him. He's like, okay, right, you now. Yeah.
It is done like the 2018 version. It's way more. I don't know. It's a lot more like the violence itself. I think the original one is still an amazing ghost story, but I think this one, or the reboot or the requel is way more of a. It's way more. It's more
analytical.
It's more horrifying. There's more like a meat to it in terms of like actually like literal meat. Like when he's going after. There's more of a mythos to the thing as well. Like the original is just like it is the kind of it's the original. It's the origin story.
It is the first slasher.
And yeah, basically. And then this one comes in, and it's pregnant with all this kind of all the lore and all like whatever it's all the baggage that's coming with, and it knows that it has the baggage.
It's coming off the back of the Rob Zombie ones that people don't generally like.
Everyone hated them. Well, a lot of people hated them anyway, but it's very aware of the baggage that it's handling, but it still really works with it and plays it well in a way that isn't like, look
at that.
Do you see?
Do you remember that?
Do you remember him? Do you remember him?
Yeah.
Do you remember like even like the opening where it's like, you know, the podcasters, you know, it's kind of like,
I was looking at that, I was like, my people.
Could have been me. The podcasters want to go interview him, and it's like, oh, this is a stupid setup. It's, you know, this is something they would only do in the 2020s. They're trying to reboot. There's some bullshit reboot to like a good movie. Well, it's just a setup. It's kind of a throwaway thing. And then like just kind of the introduction to him, and it's like in the prison yard, and it's just, you know, you don't see his face, and it's like, yeah, it's like, all the dogs are barking and all, and it's like it's very clear that he's not that they're not trying to play it as like, you know, like the second one is way more kind of grounded. It's not a ghost story really, like I would think, like the second Halloween.
Yeah,
it's much more of like a cat and mouse kind of thing between him and Laurie, which isn't. It's not like that movie is nowhere near as good as the first one.
Nowhere near as good.
This movie does, I think, combines the two in a way which is really good, and that it's very grounded in the real world, but at the same time it's like it's very mythical, very, you know, you feel like this guy isn't real, but he is real, and that's what the most terrifying thing about his presence and everything he does, and you know when he and the mask, when he pulls the mask, he gets the boiler suit, and you're like, that doesn't make any sense, but it's so cool.
So cool. I'm so down for it.
You know?
So weird. Like,
and when he goes after someone, it's like, whoa, like Jesus, you know?
Because I know, like Halloween. I think Halloween Kills definitely has more gruesome kills than this one, but even still, like, this movie is so fucking bloody. Like the first kill he does, and like it's so funny because I'm going to be talking about another film in a bit with also fucking grotesque kills and stuff like that, but in a similar vein to the movie later on. First person that we see Michael Myers like kill is a kid, and it's like, oh, never seen that before. Like, if Michael Myers, you know, he's not touching kids. But yeah, the fact that like it's like, yeah, this is a you know 2018 version. We got to be more fucked up. We got to be more intense, more gory, and the film holds up on that. It definitely wasn't as good as I remember it being.
The last act. I didn't like the last act. Well,
yeah.
Not that I didn't like it. I remember it being just very, very a lot weaker. Like the opening act is great.
The first two acts are really good. Yeah. I think it is the last. Like at a certain stage, I was like, oh, I'm so bored. I know that I was like, there's still half an hour left, and I still have to watch this fucking showdown between these characters. I don't give a fuck about this.
Yeah. It's what Laurie, like, iconic character. She's fucking boring. She is so boring.
Even in this movie, like. Yeah, I do like
bored.
her. She's more of a character in this one, but even still, it's just yeah. I preferred like the granddaughter's story and stuff like that as well.
Yeah,
having to deal with that, I was like, yeah, that's good.
That's good. Yeah,
the mom could have used more fleshing out.
Yeah, because she just done at the end.
She just feels like a bitch the entire way through, but then like it's at the end, it's like, oh well, this like I feel like this should have been develop more.
Or they could have just cut it down. There's a lot of characters going on, I feel like, and you know the police chief as well. It's a bit of a weak.
Yeah.
Like it's like, remember him from the first one?
Yeah.
No, I don't remember him from the first one. All right,
I
don't remember. Why is this 75-year-old man the sheriff in this town? You know.
Yeah. I mean the second one's everything, but there is like setups in this one. I'm like, oh, there is like. The development in the second one doesn't really make much sense when I'd seen them so far apart. I feel like if I watch them now, I'm like, okay, these developments make a little more sense because I know the themes and stuff that you're expanding on from the first one, but you are disregarding everything else that I like, and I think
everything nearly.
Yeah.
Yeah, everything that
everything that I like in this movie is not in its sequel.
Yeah,
and the parts that I don't like are expanded upon even further.
Yeah, they get way too thick into plot.
Yeah,
which
I think the themes just become too heavy.
It's too complicated.
Yeah,
like the original film is just about a guy that goes around killing people, and that's it. Like you can sum it up like that, and then you have a main character that we kind of follow, and that's all the movie is. There's nothing else really to it. He's an escaped mental patient who goes around killing people on Halloween. That's it. That's the premise. And then and this one's kind of the same, where it's he's back.
He's back.
And he's killing people again. Remember your one from the first one? She has a family and all that stuff. And that's fine. And then the second one, it's like, remember Trump? And like, all this bullet. Like, it's like, come on. It's like,
remember Trump?
It's like, what is all this? It's like, it's just, there's way too much going on. And it's too complicated.
That is exactly what it's like. Do you remember Donald Trump? Yeah, we
do.
Yeah, we do. And like, if this film maybe came out a little bit earlier, what we're saying now would be a little bit more relevant. But you're now 2 years off of Trump, and we're still saying it.
Yeah, and and the third one. Oh my god, I only just remembered the third one. Just as we're talking about.
Yeah,
this
that's like
complete disaster.
Well, it's also like just completely different from everything else.
It doesn't make any sense.
It's like the most. And we're gonna talk about a trilogy later on.
Yeah.
So also, this movie's comparable to like a lot of them, but it doesn't make sense as a trilogy. These movies make no fucking sense. And definitely the first one is the best, but
yeah, I really like the first one.
Yeah, I mean the first one's like the second best Halloween movie. Outside the first one, the first one's still the best.
Yeah. Yes, I'd say second best. Well, Halloween 3. It's second best. I'd say second best.
I'd say it's better. That's what I was thinking. I was like, is it better than Halloween 3? But like Halloween 3 is more interesting than it is a good movie.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah. Remember all the antics your man gets up to.
Yeah, it's like
it's just like this guy's a piece of shit.
This guy's a piece of shit, and this is so fucking boring. It's like at the end, you get the fucking crazy head melting. Yeah, that's such a fucking weird movie. But yeah, it's second best, but still like it's not as good as the first one, is it?
Oh no. I wouldn't say so.
Few things are.
That's it. Yeah,
few things are.
One of the greats.
Talking about Donald Trump. Mark.
What a segue! What a segue! You know what I saw? The Apprentice, new film by I can't remember his name.
Robert Zemeckis.
Yeah, it's actually motion capture.
No, have you heard about that new Robert Zemeckis film?
No.
It is all shot. The camera doesn't move at all.
Yeah.
And it's shooting like this, like one place, and then it's from 70,000 BC all the way up to the future, and the camera stays in the same place, and you're just watching the world develop or whatever.
Oh, cool.
Apparently, it's boring as shit, and it's not good. So I haven't seen it. I'm gonna watch it though because I like the sound of the concept, but apparently it's not done very well.
Yeah, I wouldn't have picked Robert Zemeckis to be the person to make that.
I feel like if it was Terrence Howard, that would work with Terrence Howard. What's his name?
Terrence Malick.
Yeah, who the fuck is Terrence Howard?
Ron Howard.
No,
Terrence Howard. Is he the guy from Iron Man?
Who the fuck is Terrence Howard? Or you hope they didn't just name a porn star by accident.
Yeah, it's your man from Iron Man.
That's so funny. No, what's the guy's name? Terrence Malick. If Terrence Malick wrote it,
he'd be good.
Who's the guy that wrote the book about taking shrooms?
I don't know.
Terrence something as well.
Terrence McKenna, isn't it?
I think it's Terrence McKenna.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So many famous Terrences.
All these Terrys out here.
But yeah, if Terrence Malick
made it.
That movie, I would say it'd be bad.
I feel like he's already made the movie.
Yeah, I think it's called Tree of Life.
Robert, bad news. I know it's the last day of shooting, but someone already made this movie before.
Yeah.
Robert Zemeckis is a weird pick for that. But The Apprentice. I saw The Apprentice there in the Lighthouse there last week, and it's a film by Ali Abbasi, and he's an Iranian-American director, and he made this. It's a biopic of Donald Trump. Not of it's we will whatever. The chant from Halloween 2. I can't remember it, so that was kind of pointless. I shouldn't have said that.
Evil dies tonight.
Evil dies tonight. Not that kind of thing. It's Donald Trump lore starting in the early 70s, going up to the early 90s, and Donald Trump was like,
hates this movie.
He hates it. He hates it. People, bad people made this movie.
What did you think about? Sorry to interrupt again, but
Go ahead.
What did you think about the rally? Was it yesterday, the day before?
Which rally? Oh, the Puerto Rico racism thing. Yeah, I seen people going mental about that. It's like this is the end of Trump. Man, racism. He says a racist comment at every rally.
All the time.
And this time it was someone else who said it. It's like, how is this? Is this going to end him? Apparently, there's a lot of Puerto Ricans in Pennsylvania, which he wants to win. That's kind of a swing state. So that's why people are concerned about it. And
also, all of Florida.
All of Florida. Yeah, he's grand in Florida. He's grand in Florida. He's got the Cuban vote down there. Trust me, they are locked in. They are just, they don't care. They got hit by that hurricane. They're like, that was an act of God. He wants Trump to win.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think Florida's an issue, but yeah, he's a fucking, I don't know. It's
like just spectacular. I always feel like
it literally spectacular.
Yeah, it's spectacular. Like it is literally. I'm looking at the spectacle. This is the most like ridiculous
an avatar
display of
yeah.
politics I've ever seen.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway.
But that's the thing about this movie, because Trump, like everything that's been made about Trump since 2016 has been fucking dog shit. It's just fucking terrible, because it's like he's like a media, like a hyper object. It's one of those things where like you can't take a picture of the Earth unless you're in space or that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. It's like not like, oh, he's a great figure of history, but it's something that's happening which can't be processed in the moment, like that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. It's one of those weird kind of dislocations in history, and everyone knows that it's something big, and that something weird is happening. But it's not about him really. He's just, he's kind of he kind of signifies it. He was kind of the starting gun for the whole thing. Him and Brexit and Nigel Farage and all those weird goons. But like nearly everything that's been made about him is fucking terrible. All like this, all the impressions, all like this, all the parodies, the weak
all
attempts
those
at
fucking
satire.
SNL skits.
Oh man, they're all literally like it's impossible.
Halloween ends.
Halloween. Like it's just everything is so fucking dog shit. Like
it kills.
Yeah, like it's all so weak and like such a. It's like. It's someone who doesn't really understand, or like, I don't know, I sound like a prick saying that, but it's someone who doesn't.
I know what's going on.
Yeah, but it's people who kind of created something, created the conditions for something like this to happen.
Yeah.
That are like, this is what's happening. We're going to speak truth to power. We're going to call him out. We're going to tell you guys, how we're going to
deal with this.
How we're going to break this down, and how we're going to. I'll tell you what's really happening. It's a lot of bollocks. A lot of rubbish.
I think what it is because. Why it's a lot of rubbish and like it's just so trite to like see that is those type of takedowns, whatever like that, isn't for converting people to like a different ideology.
Yeah,
it's like
masturbation.
It's just masturbation. Like, oh, we know what this is about.
Yeah,
you're never gonna convince the other side at all.
Yeah. It's
like
not
doing that.
Yeah, it's not speaking to anything grander. It's more like a tribal signaling exercise than anything else. Like you laugh if you're a Democrat or whatever, and you think it's very bad if you're a Republican. Mm-hmm. But there's nothing else. There's nothing else to, like, no one else outside of America really watches those things.
Yeah.
Because they're not funny. Like, there's no laughs, there's no jokes. It's just, oh, he's wearing orange makeup. He's an old man. Mm-hmm. It's like, and they're talking on stage, they kind of look like Joe Biden and Donald Trump. But there's no actual joke. But this movie isn't really, it's funny. It's very funny.
Mm-hmm. Who plays Trump again?
It's the Winter Soldier, Sebastian Stan. Yeah, the Winter Soldier, and he does the best Trump impression that's been done in kind of like a major kind of production, in my opinion, because it's very, very measured, and it comes in over the course of the movie. Because if you go back to Trump in the 70s and the 80s or whatever, he doesn't talk like he does today.
Yeah,
he talks like a fairly normal person. But then over time, through his influences, in the scene in New York, all the other rich people he's bouncing off, how he climbs the ladder, he starts to talk in different ways. It's his kind of like his verbal breakdown is or kind of how he begins to speak and his current way of talking is a reflection of it, like kind of how he's actually thinking, like how his thinking has changed as well since he first started out. But it starts off in the early 70s. When he's like this, he's up and coming. He's a self-made man. He's just doing his thing in New York. Obviously his dad is like a multimillionaire. Mm-hmm. And he's like, he's very, he's high on his own farts and all that. And his business, the Trump organization, were like they're about to go under. They're being sued by the U.S. government for breaking anti-segregation laws. So like they had like a housing project in New York, and they didn't rent to black people. So Trump is in like this, and this is a real. It's all based on like true events and stuff, because he's obviously so well documented. And he's in like this rich person's club in New York, or like a restaurant or whatever. And he goes over to this guy called Roy Cohn, and Roy Cohn is I'd never heard of him before this movie, but he's one of the most evil men who ever lived. Apparently, he's like the mentor. Trump is his apprentice, essentially, and he was Trump's mentor, and he was this lawyer who I think at 27 he was chief counsel for Robert McCarthy, like the McCarthy hearings. Like he was the kind of the executioner for not literally, but basically
for the careers of
for the all the Red Scare kind of trials and all them. But they had, was it Ethel Rosenberg, the Rosenbergs, I can't remember the guy's name, but the Rosenbergs were these two Soviet spies. Apparently only the man was a spy for the Soviet Union, but the wife knew, but she wasn't actually like actively spying. But he passed on nuclear secrets to the Soviet Union in the 50s, and they were executed because of it. But they weren't going to be executed, like especially not the wife. She was never going to be executed until this guy Roy Cohn put in a word to the judge, called in a political favor, and that's kind of like his origin story, which goes, obviously goes back with like 70, 80 years.
Yeah.
And the whole movie is basically growing out of that, and how like the political fixers, and how like politics really works in America, or like anywhere really. And like Roy Cohn's like this amazing, like extremely talented, like basically fascist political fixer who was able to call in favors at will, and like bend reality to like kind of his own will, whenever he wanted, on whatever issue he wanted. And he helped the Trump organization get rid of that lawsuit. Like I think he called it off, and then he took Trump under his wing, and the whole movie is him bringing Trump up from like this kind of low level, just kind of like a rich kid, like nouveau riche kind of, he's just one of them, and bringing him up to the level where he's like, making big deals.
And the political elite.
Yeah, and he's rubbing shoulders with all the elites, and he's at all these crazy parties. It has a scene with like a very, very dodgy party, which Trump is at, and he doesn't drink. He's never done drugs. All this, he's just there sober as a fucking judge, walking around this like Epstein party, and he was at all of them as well, like the actual Epstein parties. Like, what was he doing? Yeah, like that's like he was just completely sober. It just doesn't, like, it's just such a weird thing to think about, but yeah, and it's kind of about, so like Roy Cohn speaks. He spoke the way Trump speaks now, basically. Very, very similarly, like very kind of emphatic, the short words, the short sentences, just trying to get like implanting ideas in your heads, like very, very, directive. And like there is an art to the way he speaks. Like, he's a really efficient communicator. And like a lot of things that he said, or like his catchphrases, have entered like the common vernacular, like so, like immediately, like so quickly.
He's like, yeah, Sigma. I'm like, yeah.
He just says,
in Ohio.
He just says things that it just becomes like it's just suddenly part of everyday language, But yeah, it's kind of like it's Trump rising and then Cohn falling, kind of hit like sundown. Like he's coming down. He's on the way down. He's kind of done what evil things he needed to do, and Trump is on the way up, and he's going to take his place essentially. And it's about betrayal, and stabbing everyone in the back to get where you need to go. And they go into a big piece about Trump's philosophy and how he drew on what Cohn believed to make his way to the top. It's just like attack, deny everything, never admit defeat. There were some other rules, but I can't remember. But those were like the three things that Cohn always told Trump to stick by. And that's that you can see every day that's what he does. He sticks to those very basic principles, and that's how he wins, and that's how he gets things done. And it doesn't start off with Trump obviously as like a villainous caricature of like who he is today, like it starts off and it's like, because Trump said the people who made this film were human scum. And I watched the first hour of this movie and I was like, what the fuck is he talking about? Like, this is actually like, this is a really like straight-laced, well, not straight-laced, it's like it's quite fair. It seems very fair. Like he doesn't seem like a villainous character. You can see he's getting a bit, he's been a shady businessman. He's a piece of shit, capitalist, New York, predatory landlord. Obviously the whole company is very racist and all this stuff, but it doesn't seem like he's been made out to be some kind of
sleazy.
He's a horrible person.
Racist. The company's racist, but like he doesn't seem to do that bad.
Well, everyone is every big businessman, every successful businessman is exactly is exactly that. And you see loads of movies about them. And it's like, that's just kind of how the system works. And this is a story about a man within the system, working his way up, like starting very high, but then working his way to the very, very top. But then there's a point halfway through the movie, which is like, what the fuck is going on here?
Mm-hmm.
There's no way they could put that in the movie unless they knew.
Does this have to do with Ivanka?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard about that.
So fucking weird. Ivana, yeah.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
his
Ivana, yeah.
second wife, was it? Or first wife?
I think
His second wife.
second, yeah.
Yeah, it's so weird. It's disturbing is the real word. It's extremely disturbing because the movie is just kind of it's really well done, but it's quite conventional story of a guy rising to the top and all that stuff. Really well acted. Jeremy Strong is in it as Roy Cohn.
Yeah, I heard he's a whopper.
He's insane. So good. Amazing performance.
He's so good in everything.
He is. He's an amazing actor. He's really really good. And Sebastian Stan's obviously really good as Trump. It's very measured. It's not cartoonish. He's like, it's building throughout the movie, and then this scene comes in and you're like, what the fuck is going on here? I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
I had to look it up afterwards. Apparently it's based on real a court deposition that she gave during their divorce proceedings, and Trump paid her to dismiss the claim, to like retract the claim. It was settled out of court, so it is a public record.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no actual, like, it's not like, it's still a weird, like, it's like a big leap to include that in the movie.
That's
That's a ballsy to include that in the movie. But I suppose it's a fair game if it's like if it's the president as well.
Yeah.
Like, can you say that about the president? Could you just?
I have no idea.
I don't know. I feel like you can.
I feel like you can. Like, most of the time, if you've gotten like nothing to base it off of, you can. But if you have something to base it off, then maybe.
Yeah, creative license or something anyway. But she said it happened, and then she withdrew it after he paid her off. But it's really fucked up.
Mm.
And at that point, you're like, wow, this guy's...
Well, there's no redeeming him now.
There's no redeeming this guy.
I don't know about this Trump guy, but there's no redeeming him now.
But that's like his moment, because the movie, it's really... it's kind of...
What's his current wife called?
Melania, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's kind of Shakespearean in the kind of, the rise and the fall, and the apprentice stabbing the mentor in the back, the kind of killing the father figure in his life and becoming the big boss and the big chief. But it's also like there's an end scene as well where Roy Cohn was he was a gay man who never came out as gay. Like, he refused to ever admit that he was gay. And he had AIDS for years up into the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
Lost contact with Trump. Trump was getting so evil that even Roy Cohn was like, you need to tone it down. You need to relax. And that's in the movie. It's very, very amusing. And Trump basically tells him to fuck off. And he's dying and he's passing away, and gets to the end of the movie. He passes away, and then Trump is... he's divorced Ivana, and he's very insecure, of course, about his hair and about, like, he's very fat.
His little belly.
And he's getting plastic surgery done. And the director was saying that the meaning behind those scenes is it's Cohen passing away and kind of like just disappearing from the world after everything that he did, like kind of the monster that he created, and then Trump as the Frankenstein monster,
mm-hmm.
who's like being like assembled like through like plastic surgery, liposuction, and scalp reductions and all this stuff.
Spray tan.
Yeah. It's like Darth Vader kind of Revenge of the Sith kind of thing. When it's the end sequence where it's like, no, and he becomes he's the monster. Because at that point he is Trump that everyone already knows. Because that's when The Apprentice starts, like 2 years after the end of this movie. And it's just really well done. And it's really well structured. It's really well acted. And it's not cartoonish. It takes it seriously. Like the movie that you could watch. I think you could watch this movie in 5-6 years. Yeah. Whereas most of the other stuff is like there's stuff from 2020 that's you wouldn't even, if it came up, you wouldn't even look at it. Even none of it's funny, but some of it is still watchable because it's current. This movie, it's not current at all. So I think it has some shelf life and it takes it seriously, and it's just really well executed.
Is this a straight drama, or is it like a comedy drama?
Well, it's a comedy kind of drama. Like it's
is it like The Big Short kind of vibe?
I think it's kind of like it's not like ha funny.
Yeah.
It's more like like Trump is a funny guy. Like like he started out as a comedian. He's a media guy, and this plays into that. And there's a few laughs here and there, but it's not like it's not jokey kind of ha.
It's
Like
not
it
Joker.
does take it very very.
Yeah.
It's not Joker.
It's
Yeah,
not Joker.
it's
No.
not, that would be a funny one. But it takes it very seriously, which is I think
That's what you
a
want.
good thing.
It's
It's
needed.
worth a watch.
Mm.
It's worth a watch.
Yeah,
100%.
I probably will give that a watch because it sounds pretty good. Ugh. Can I have one of those bottles?
Of course.
Por favor. I am parched here after finishing my can. Yeah, that sounds pretty good. That sounds like absolutely no offense to it whatsoever. That's a perfect. Thank you so much. That is a perfect watch at home movie.
Yeah, it's you don't need
Watch with the mom and dad. You know.
You don't need to watch it in cinema really. It'd be great on a big LG TV. Stick that on. You're laughing. You know, nice evening in. It's just grand. It's a good movie.
That's all you need. Sometimes that's all you need.
That's all you need.
I'm gonna hit pause for a second because
Go
I
ahead.
can't open this. Okay, we're back, but we kind of had a break, but not really a break. So just gonna segue onto.
We just said two things.
Yeah, I just needed to open up a fucking bottle. Talking about horrific evil beings. I watched Terrifier 3.
Have you not seen this before? No.
No, I've seen Terrifier 2.
Okay.
Mark, this is part of the thing I want to talk about. This is the third Terrifier movie.
Yeah.
Third.
Uh-huh.
And there's gonna be a fourth.
So.
If you had seen, I don't know, I'm not gonna talk about the franchise because I don't think we need to talk about that.
We've already talked about it.
Like if you were, because I watched the first Terrifier film, like 2018, I want to say, and I watched it and I was like, that was really fucked up, but like kind of impressive, and the main character was really cool. Like art's a really cool design. He's immediately iconic.
Mm-hmm.
But I was like, well, that was a pretty shitty movie. And like that gore, that scene though with the cutting the woman in half, that was some crazy special effects. But like, I don't think that's a very good movie. And then you hear they're making a second one, and it's gonna be 2.5 hours long, and it comes out and it's actually pretty good. And now we're at number 3, and this time I got to see this in the cinema.
I saw, yeah, but I was like, oh, that's the one Owen saw.
Yeah.
I don't know why I thought it came out.
No. Yeah.
Are you already seen it?
This movie is so fucked up. Oh my god. So like, I've been saying this to a couple of people, but like, you know, so first film, it's big, gory, hard kill, is I guess like what's Terrifier about? Well, you tell me, what do you think Terrifier is about?
It's about a killer clown that goes around killing people. Is it?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's it. That is it. Perfect. Yeah. But like, there's lore now at this stage of the
There's
third one.
lore.
There's quite a bit of lore.
Ah.
But the main like reason why people watch these movies is because these movies have the most insane, violent, fucked up, grotesque, nasty kills that go on for ages. You feel like an eternity when you're watching them. And like they're so stretched out that they become like agonizing to watch. But anyway, and that's the reason why you come to Terrifier. And so like the first film, its big kill is he saws a woman in half when she's upside down. You know?
Yeah, that's been done.
It's pretty bad. Second film is just this whole long ass kill that goes on for ages. The kill starts with a scalping. So you know, and then this one has, I'm not joking, about like 4 or 5 kills that are to the level of the ones that stood out from the other ones. Like there's like 5 of them where I'm wincing in agony watching them. I'll tell you the worst one.
Tell me the worst one.
The one that I think is the worst one.
Tell me the nicest one.
Okay, the nicest one is that he slowly scalps a dude and like rips his jaw off with his hand. Yeah, it's the nicest one.
Okay.
While the guy is being like choked out and like his eyes get dug out by someone else. There's 2 people coming at the one time. You know, have you read the book to American Psycho?
The rats.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. He doesn't do that, but he uses that torture method in a way that used to be a torture method, or is it an execution? I guess it's an execution.
Which?
The medieval version of it. or is that a real thing? Is that a real thing? Do people used to do that to each other?
Do what? Stick rats?
Stick rats in like a fire. Not the American Psychopath. What the fuck is that? American Psycho. Not the American Psycho version. The actual one where they put like they put like a box on your chest or whatever full of rats, and then they light fire at one end, and the rats apparently will burrow into you.
Oh, I've never heard of that.
I think apparently that's a thing. I don't know if that's
It sounds like it. They made up some random. They had nothing to do back then. They just
talk about how they're what's the most fucked up way to kill someone.
Yeah, they used to. Yeah, it's crazy. Some of the descriptions are mental. Yeah, the guillotine was the greatest invention. It's a humanitarian invention.
The guillotine is humanitarian.
It was humanitarian. Yeah, they're fucked up.
But so he has a woman, and he pulls a cloth off a table, and he's like, oh, there's also at this stage just two people, like there's two killers. They're both possessed by the same demon. This is the lore of so Art's silent, but the other character is able to speak, and they reveal a decapitated head that has been eaten by rats.
Mm-hmm.
And they go to him like, oh, that's your baby daughter. We killed your little girl, and that's what we did to her. So she's like, screaming and freaking out. And someone else is watching all this happen, by the way, also tied up. The scenes are so incredibly upsetting. That is also why I found this film like so fucked up. Like, not only are the kills really fucked up, but like the setup and like how we get there is really upsetting. Like they're just like,
oh, why do you watch these movies?
I watched this film. I'm not gonna lie.
It sounds so unpleasant.
It was like unpleasant to the point of like, I can't believe they made a movie like this. Yeah. Like I found this film like deeply upsetting. This is the meanest movie.
Just laughing.
But that's the thing. This film is really funny as well. I'll get onto the humor.
Yeah.
But the humor is also just underpinned by this like real mean spirit.
This movie is so upsetting.
This is a Christmas movie as well.
Okay.
This movie is set at Christmas time.
Yeah.
The first like kill in the movie is him going in and butchering a whole family the night before Christmas. That's the first kill. Like kids and all.
Oh my god.
So, he has his mum, whatever, and he's like, okay, I'm going to kill it now. She's like, screaming, crying, whatever. He's like, okay, I'm going to kill you now. Gets a tube, a plastic tube, a thick plastic tube.
I'm done. No.
And rams it down her throat.
Okay, yeah.
To the point of breaking her jaw, and like blood and shit comes up, whatever. And then like grand cool, gets the rats, puts it in the hole, gets the fire, puts 3 rats down her throat, and then slits her throat, and the rats fall out. And it's like, there you go, that's your.
Yeah.
And it feels like it goes on for like 5 minutes.
That's Well, I'm never gonna watch this one, but like
they're so gross.
Yeah, Jesus. Maybe the lads were right. Ban these movies, the video nasty guys.
I was watching this. Like, it's crazy watching a film that is like a video nasty, and I think that's why these movies are like super, like I want to say popular. They're like this movie made $2 million to make, and I think like domestically made 60 million or 80 million.
Really?
Yeah, these movies make so much money. These are really successul movies.
The guy who made Guinea Pig must be kicking himself.
Oh yeah, man. He's like,
20 years too early.
You should have waited.
Yeah.
But like the thing about these films is like one, it is like you're watching the most intensely fucked up film, like in terms of gore or whatever. The practical effects are amazing. Like these are some of the best practical effects I've ever seen. And they are horrendously ooey. And then Art is just such a cool, again, he's instantly iconic. It's one thing as well, like I think this is like the biggest new horror franchise in I don't know how long. Conjuring, yeah. Well, Conjuring only has 2 movies in it, I guess, but
true.
Is there a third?
No one saw the third one.
I did see the third one.
Oh, did you?
I have seen the third one.
I might have seen it as well, but I don't remember seeing it.
But unlike the Conjuring movies, where the first one's really good, this Terrifier didn't have that. But I think it's just like it's a horror franchise. It's like a new IP. It's something. It's showing you things that you have not seen before. Guaranteed, you are not seeing things like this before. And it's like kind of funny. Like there's a bit where Art is like there's like this couple talking, and Art is like sneaking around or whatever, and one of the girls is obsessed with the murders from the previous film because it's like a 6-year time skip or whatever, or 5. I think it's 5 years, and the girl is like to the boy like, oh no, Art the clown is the most fucked up, sadistic, evil serial killer of all time. And Art's walking by, and he stops.
He's just walking by.
Yeah, he's just walking by. He's outside the door. He's just outside the door, just like basically walking by. But they're in like their dorms in college. So he stops, and then he turns around and he walks back, and he sticks his head in, and he's like he's done the most like crazy, like disgusting things to people. And Art is outside like flapping his hand, but like, oh, stop it, like stop complimenting me. And he keeps going on, and like he's like I'm gonna walk and like shake her hand. But then later on, he gets them. And it is the most fucked up chainsaw kills I have ever seen. And like, so your one is like barely alive, and Art like crouches down to her and like he's dressed up as Santa Claus, and he has like these little sunglasses on, and he takes them off, and he's like, look, because one of the things she says is, I want to talk to Sienna, who's like the main girl, whatever, the girl that survived from the previous film. And she's like, I want to ask her what it's like to look at pure evil in the eyes. I want to know what that feels like. And so Art crouches down to her, takes off the sunglasses, looks her dead in the eye, and gives her the look of, there you go, kid, now you know what it's like.
Yeah.
And it's like, that is like, again, like, it's just like, it's such a like despicable display of evil. You know what I mean? Yeah. Because like all the while that Art is like doing all this heinous shit, he's like laughing and like smiling and thinks it's so funny what he's doing. And again, like that contrast is just like, again, just like, it's just nasty. It's the meanest movie I've ever seen. Nasty is the only way to describe this movie.
Is this a good movie or not?
I think it is a pretty good movie. Like, I looked out of it, I was like, I got exactly what I wanted.
Who'd you see this with?
No one. I went by myself. Oh yeah. I walked to the cinema by myself, and there was one other dude in the entire audience, and he was sitting in the front row. I'm not fucking joking.
Where was this in?
This is in Santry.
Santry, yeah, okay. Jeez, what time is this?
What time do you think it was at?
Well, like noon.
Go on, take a guess. What time was this at?
It was 12:35.
It was 2. It was half 2.
Half 2. Oh dear, yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Oh dear, yeah.
Who's gonna go see a movie at that time? You know, I had to go by myself. And yeah, it was. I walked out being like, yeah, like that. I got exactly what I wanted. It grossed me out exactly. I felt exactly how this movie wanted me to feel. So for that, I must applaud.
Yeah.
And I got the reaction out of it. Like there's some
the other guy,
as well. Sit in front row. Like that, I just
start vomiting everywhere. There's the front aisle.
But like, I walked in and I just saw him, and I was like, "You must know that I think that you're a freak because you're watching Terrifier 3."
Yeah.
By yourself in a cinema. Fair enough, I was going by myself, but I was not sitting front row by myself.
That's a real. It's like, elbowing each other out of the way. No, you're worse.
Yeah, you're
worse.
So
you're in the front row.
He looks at me, freak. I'm like, shut your mouth. You're in the front row. However, a group of people came in then. Like, there's 4 people.
Oh, cool.
And they must have looked at that dude and been like, geez, that's one fucking freak. And then walked up a little bit further. Saw me sitting there with my feet up on the back of the chair. Be like, well, there's another fucking sicko.
Hey, these are comfy.
But yeah, so for that I have to commend them. What special effects or practical effects are amazing. There's like some like there is a part of me because these movies are like cheesy and like they have that like B movie like grindhouse aesthetic.
Yeah.
Which can be like a bad movie in certain ways.
Yeah.
And in some ways there is like, yeah, this is being bad, like kind of on purpose. But other times, like, nah, I'm pretty sure that's just bad. Like this is like it's just bad.
Like dialogue, story,
some of the story bits. I like Sienna's story in this one. I know that we talked about Laurie, like living her life and overcoming trauma and stuff like that. Sienna also has to do that in this movie.
Yeah, understandable.
And there is something that the movie like alludes towards because it has all the stuff about like. So in the second film, we find out that Sienna's. Well, we don't find out, but like we're introduced to this character. It's like, her dad drew pictures of her fighting Art the Clown. When she was a kid. So I was like, okay, so her dad is somehow involved in this and like kind of leans into some of that in this movie. It also leans into like what exactly Art is. Now we know it's a demon that has possessed a serial killer's body. So in the first movie, Art is just a regular person. He is just that fucked up.
Jesus, yeah.
And then in the second movie, it's that person is now possessed by a demon, and this is what this person now does.
Oh shit.
So in the first movie he like eats a woman's face at the end of it, and in the second movie that woman is alive, and she like kills someone in the start of the movie because of like trauma, and then at the end of the movie is possessed by the demon as well, and gives birth to Art gets decapitated. And separately in like a different place, she now gives birth to his head. So she like revives him, I guess, whatever. But yeah, so she gets possessed. But the whole thing is that like, so she explains to Sienna at one stage at the end of it, being like the demon talking to her, being like, I'm going to like fuck you up so much mentally that afterwards, like, I'm gonna then take over your body like I did to this bitch, like talking about the woman that he's in. I was like, oh, so that's how this demon is able to like multiply and like throughout humans, is by just butchering people and making people watch and then taking them over when they've lost their mind. It's like, that's also a horrific concept.
That's serial killers, isn't
it? Yeah, it's just like passing on trauma, I guess, whatever. But,
yeah. Well, that's a decent theme, isn't it?
Yeah. But earlier on in the movie, so we have this whole, there's a character mentions offhand, is like, oh yeah, we want to ask about Sienna and her dad because like her dad, like, I think he died or something like that. But they said like, oh, he was abusive.
Yeah.
And so we hear that, and then we hear that after we have watched the scene where it's like a flashback to Sienna and her dad, and they're having this like nice moment or whatever, and then Sienna goes to leave the room, and then dad calls her back. He's like, oh no, come back, I have something for you. So that's the last time we see the dad. Then we hear that he was abusive, and I'm like, oh wait, is that what this is then? Because this is before I hear the whole like demon trauma spreading thing. I thought then, I was like, oh, so what Art is like a manifestation or whatever of her trauma with her dad for whatever the fuck he did to her. I don't know if that's where we're going. This movie doesn't like clarify whether or not it is that. But it did mention it, and it made me think about that. I was like, so there's like multiple things that Art could be, I guess. Which is, from Terrifier 1, that is like a
big leap.
That's a huge leap. Like Terrifier 1, he's just a clown.
Yeah.
He's just a clown, that's all he is, and he's really fucked up. Now at this stage, we're like, okay, we know what you kind of are.
He's got a bit of lore.
And so like kind of interesting. So
yeah, that sounds kind of interesting.
Yeah. It's also like cheesy and wacky and like B movie as fuck. But
yeah. I don't know. It's at least there's a bit of meat on the bones.
There's meat on the bones.
Yeah.
And it will get stripped off.
Yeah. Oh, very good.
Can I tell you about one other kill?
Tell me all about it.
Okay. Did you watch Jason X?
No, never seen it.
Have you ever seen the Friday the 13th kill where he takes a woman's face and puts it into liquid nitrogen?
No.
It's a big famous kill in the Friday the 13th franchise where like he takes a woman face into liquid nitrogen, it freezes, he lifts it up and he smashes it off a counter and like cracks it open or whatever, and he fucks it on the ground. It's like a really like well known kill. This movie, like, I feel like he puts a reference to it as like, because he's filling up like a fire extinguisher with liquid nitrogen, and then he blasts a rat and he smashes the rat into little smithereens. He then uses that on someone, and it is so fucking nasty. He just freezes and like smashes them with a hammer. It's just awful.
Yeah.
But it's like, remember like the most gruesome. Is that what's seen as the most gruesome kill from Friday the 13th? It's like art takes that and makes it 10 times worse. There's also a bit where he does. Actually, I'm having a thought now that I said that. Because in my head I was like, oh, that's like a
Callback.
A callback to Friday the 13th. First kill is him butchering a family with an axe, and he hacks a door down and does like a smile through the door. You know, The Shining.
Yeah.
Then he also chainsaws like this couple up. You know, he uses a chainsaw, takes a chainsaw.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm wondering, like, and I was like, oh, well, the kill from the most brutal kill from American Psycho, the book.
Yeah.
He does it 10 times worse. I'm like, oh, I wonder if every kill is a reference to a movie.
That would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
You know, that there's some method.
He uses a box cutter in one stage. I don't know any kill
Breaking
like that.
Bad.
Breaking Bad, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Why
Just
not?
Remember that?
I do remember. That's pretty fucked up.
That is. I was like, oh, I still can't watch that. Oh.
But yeah, that just had me thinking there when I said that, because I was like, oh, in the first kill, he's like smiling through the door or whatever. I wonder, yeah, because maybe every kill is like we're making a reference to another kill that's in another movie, but we have made it 10 times more fucked up.
Yeah. So it's like a phantasmagoria.
Yeah.
It's a horror kind of pastiche.
Like, this is like a splatter movie.
Yeah.
Buckets of blood.
Yeah, it's quite. It doesn't sound like my kind of.
No, definitely not.
Yeah.
Definitely not.
I actually watched, the new Zodiac documentary.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
a bit more my speed.
Yeah.
In terms of like, there's no gore, 'cause there's no evidence. It's quite good.
Is it?
It's on the one on Netflix.
Mhm.
3 episodes, and
Did it make you think?
it's kind of the same. What you're saying there about the trauma kind of it made me think a little bit, because the whole thing is about because it's kind of unique in that they released like a new documentary. It's like, there's new evidence found in this case, and it's like some random guy. It's like, it was my dad, and it's like, he was DB Cooper because he parachuted once or whatever. But this one is like, for the Zodiac movie, there's your man Arthur Lee Allen, like, who's played by the big bald guy.
Yeah.
And the movie is like, it's this guy, it's him. But it was like, everyone's always like, it's it's not him.
Mm-hmm.
It could be someone else. There's no actual evidence that it was Arthur Lee Allen. But this documentary is like, it was him.
Yeah.
It was 100% him. And it takes a real, like, it really takes a stand on that. And it draws on these interviews from people that knew him when he was a teacher, and he befriended their family. And his whole thing was, he got arrested for being a pedo.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when they first arrested him, they start questioning about everything. And that's in the movie, you see that he gets, I think it might be slightly after, but in the movie you see when they're asking about the Zodiac watch that he has, all these different things kind of pile up. And the movie, or the documentary, like, lays it out in a pretty cool way. But the entire time it's interspersed with these interviews with people who knew him as a family friend and were like traumatized by him in various ways, various dark and disturbing ways, in ways that they weren't really aware about, or kind of aware of, until their mother passed, who they believe was kind of collaborating with him in some weird way, or at least knew what he was doing and just wouldn't tell anyone. And she only died recently. She left like a box, which is such a weird fucking trope. But she left a box in like this old storage shed, which had like letters written by him to her, like explicitly alluding to the Zodiac killings as if he had done them, but in a kind of a sarcastic way. And he made all these like home.
He's like, oh, it definitely was him. Like, we thought it was him, and then we found all these letters where he was saying it was him.
Yeah. And he made all these home movies, which is just newscast footage of the Zodiac killings and his own interviews that he did with TV stations. And then he has like a personal message to their mother, to this woman at the end, kind of laughing about the whole thing. And it's just about them kind of it's about, it's obviously it's about their own trauma, and then it's about, how he got off on doing all these things, and then the ultimate kind of win for him was traumatizing the entire city, creating terror. Like everyone's like, oh, it could have been me, it could be me, it could
be anyone,
could be anybody. And he, like, they found pipe bombs under his house and all these things, and there was explicit references to that in the letters. And then there's like this weird interview which I'd never seen before, or even heard about before. I thought it would have been mentioned in the movie or something like that, where he does an interview at a TV station, and he's talking about like how this has destroyed his life, and he ends up doing after that he does a phone call as he's dying with his with one of the brother in the family that he was kind of victimizing, and he victimized many families apparently. Like, he's a big pedo, and he called him and he said, like, I did this and this. I drugged you guys when you were kids. I brought you to these locations, and they're all the locations where the killings happened. And he's like, but he's like, I'm so sorry, and he starts breaking down. And then they ask him, did you do, or he asks him, were you the Zodiac? And he's like, he basically doesn't give a real answer, but he starts like breaking down, crying. But the entire idea is that he's like, there's something, he's getting off on the idea that he's bringing, like, it with his like kind of final actions. Like, he dies like a few days later, or a few weeks later. He's like bringing back all this traumatic kind of these traumatic memories, and like fucking up the family again, and hopefully in his eyes creating a new kind of storm around the case.
Yeah, because that's what you'd wonder, like, oh, like, did he do it, or did he just want to make people think that he did it?
Yeah, and it does, like, it's almost like it's almost like it doesn't really matter either way if he did it. Like, he's that kind of, like, they're cut from the same kind of cloth.
Yeah,
where they're just trying to terrorize people and reproduce themselves in this weird, fucked up way. Like, whatever demons inside them, they're trying to pass it on to other people.
Yeah.
But it's good. It's actually a good documentary series. Netflix rarely has anything good, but I thought it was well worth a watch.
Well, you found one.
I found one, and it takes a very solid. Usually they're like, oh, it could be this, could be that. Here's this guy that is kind of crazy, but he has his theory. It's like, it's a lot of rubbish.
Yeah,
don't care. But it was good. It
sounds pretty good. Have to give that a go. Will we go for a break, or will we continue on? How are you feeling?
I'm feeling good. What do you think? Wild Robot?
I'm thinking about a very quick Wild Robot.
Let's go.
And then off to bed. Okay, yeah. So I watched also the new DreamWorks movie. I was gonna say Pixar. It's like, this is not a Pixar movie. New DreamWorks movie, Wild Robot. I just want to mention this because I was like, I'm gonna have to combat something about Terrifier 3. Yeah, Wild Robot is a good tee up for that.
Balance it out, yeah.
Yeah. All the things that Terrifier 3 is not, the Wild Robot is. This is life affirming. This is not nihilistic in the slightest way possible.
Doesn't leave you feeling disgusted.
No. I left so, like, warm and fuzzy.
Oh, that's good.
That's what this movie is. It's just a good movie. It's about a robot that lands on an island. Roz is her name, and her her robot is built to keep at a task until it is finished, and if it does not have a task, look for one. So she lands on this island, and it's just a wild island with now a wild robot, and it basically, she can start talking to animals, and she, through happenstance, ends up with a little goose egg, and she is told by someone, your task is to take care of this goose until it can fly. And it's about, this robot learning to be a mother.
This is such a. It's like we're getting whiplash. Stuff. No, I'm getting whiplash from this. Just the contrast.
It's about
the robot learns to be a mother to the goose.
It's learning about one of the things that they say in the movie is to go outside of your programming. And like I don't know, part of me took that as like we are born into like, you know, our society or whatever, and we are programmed by the people and the culture and all these different things that can teach us or tell us to think a certain way about whatever. And it is up to us to go beyond our programming to love one another. That was something I also took from the movie. It has like gorgeous music. The visuals are stunning. It's super relatable. There's like there actually is jokes about death in the most like hilarious way as well in this movie. Because it is about like the brutality of nature. But even in our natural instincts, we can still learn to be with each other. But it's just a feel good movie, and I think everyone should go see it. Like the music as well, man. Oh, there's one scene. You know that bit in How to Train Your Dragon when Hiccup is falling and Toothless like is falling, and they link up together and they fly off.
Yeah.
And it has that like that music that it's swelling.
Uh-huh.
The movie also has one of those scenes.
They're the best.
I watched this with Melissa, and I just like I was watching the scene, and like my eyes started welling up, and I was like, oh, I just know. And I look over, floods. I was like, I knew it.
Yeah, that's great.
So like, yeah, it's got stuff like that in the movie, and again, also it looks gorgeous, and it's going to be the last in-house DreamWorks production.
Really?
Yeah, it's the last one.
What about Shrek 5?
That's going to be what did you say? Overseas, whatever.
Wait, what do you mean? It's gonna be farmed out to someone else.
Somewhere else, like it's gonna be, you know, not made in
America.
I think it's like France or something are gonna be some. I think the guys that did they have another studio, I think, that did, I want to say The Bad Guys, I think it's called.
Don't know what that is.
It's like this like animated movie about like a fox or like a wolf. It's got a crew, and I think they're like bank robbers or something.
Sounds dog shit.
Apparently it's like animated really, really well.
Oh. Okay.
I don't know anything else. I just heard like apparently the animation is really good in it. But I think that's a French production. I might have that wrong. But yeah, this is the last one that the American studio that was under DreamWorks will be working on. And it's like the theme is part of the theme as well is like nurturing something and taking it, and then like it flourishing, and you have to like blossom, let it go. So it's like, yeah, our company got so fucking big that they just they fired all of our jobs.
They outsourced us.
They outsourced us.
It's about letting go.
It's about letting go. Yeah, they outsourced us to someone else, and now our studio like doesn't produce like I don't know how it works, but like surely the fuck is like, yeah, it's now getting outsourced to someone else. So
there you go. We'll see how long that lasts. Yeah. Chubby's gonna bring it back. DreamWorks, they're not making the movies in America anymore.
We're gonna tax chip.
We're gonna make Shrek 5 in America. It's gonna be made in here, LA.
Right here in New York.
Right here in New York, Empire State Building. All these movies are so linked.
Yeah, they are. They actually are. Yeah,
that's a great antidote to Terrifier.
Yeah. It was. Yeah. It was like, it was as if. What are like something that you'd take? I don't know. I was trying to think of like two substances that you would take really close together to get the benefit of one, but counterbalance it with the other.
Heroin and the anti-heroin thing. Was it Narcan or something?
Sure. Yeah, that. It was like that. It was like taking a shot of tequila, and then Wild Robot was the lime to like cancel it out. You know what I'm saying? But also have its own distinct flavor. And not Wild Robot is not sour either, so it didn't work.
It's like tea, and then you put the sugar in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe. You sure? Yeah, let's go for that. I can't think of anything. All right, we go for a break.
Let's go.
Okay, we are back from the break. And we are on to our final leg of the planets. I guess at this stage it is multiple planets.
Various planets.
Planet of the Apes movie with the... We were going to do the trilogy, but Owen didn't watch one of the movies, so we're going to do two of them. We're going to do Rise of the Planet of the Apes.
Rise and Dawn.
And Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, which like really should be the other way around.
It really should, yeah. But Dawn doesn't sound great as an opening.
No.
as the first movie.
Well, they should have
Dawn
called
of
it
Planet of the Apes.
Dawn, Afternoon, Dusk. That's what they should have called it.
Yeah, like the Midnight series. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
It's about Mark Wahlberg boning that horny ape from 2001.
and this is what happens. Okay, so Rise of the Planet of the Apes.
Oh.
We already know that. I think
Where do we start?
I think is this your favorite one?
No, second favorite. Because it's an emotional favorite. Because it hit the emotional beats are just it actually is. Every film is linked. It ties into Halloween 2018, where it hits. It doesn't tie into it at all. But from my perspective, it does.
It is like a requel as well.
It's a requel. Yeah, exactly. It's a requel.
But way earlier than any of the other ones.
It invents. It's at the dawn of the requel.
It's at the rise of the requel.
And it's bed into the whole mythos aspect of which isn't as big a thing, obviously, in Planet of the Apes. But it's really getting into it's it's not so much fan service, but it's building like callbacks.
Mm-hmm.
In a way,
completely different story as well.
Yeah, but in a way that's thematically linked. Like this, like compared to the first one, this is not the first one's all about nuclear war.
This has got nothing to do with the first
this trilogy has nothing to do with any of that.
Oh yeah, nothing. These are their own thing entirely.
Which is I think is grand. Like,
yeah,
like they could do a different version maybe in a few years, and that's grand. But these ones are great, and that they call back, and there's references to the old movies in a way that is thematically linked to what's happening in these movies. But it's not like kind of determining where the plot is going. Like they don't have fucking the Charlton Heston doppelganger from the second Planet of the Apes movie coming back as like, oh look, remember him from? He's now a fucking scientist in the lab. Remember, and he's playing a big role. Who cares?
Mm-hmm.
It's just it's the usual kind of guy. Get your hand off me, you damn dirty ape, and all this. And even the opening where it's like the first act or whatever. They show the Icarus, like the initial spaceship launching in universe, and it's we know that this is destined to end up in the wormhole and like end up on the Planet of the Apes in the future, and but it's nothing to do really with the story that's happening there at the moment. It's only tangentially linked, and it must happen in a different universe essentially, or like way ahead in this timeline. But so conscious of all those things.
Do you think we get to that stage?
Man, we need to.
Yeah.
That's my biggest gripe with this. It's taken fucking years. This film came out 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Rise of Planet of the Apes. Or was it 11 years ago?
I think it's more, yeah.
Yeah, it might be more. I think it might be, it was 2011, 2012.
I want to say it's 2011, 2012.
It's ridiculous. And they're still, like not to shit on the franchise.
We're still nowhere near it.
Yeah, there's no, like, this is something
2011.
Yeah, like, and this is more of like a broader commentary on the direction and like the pace that's going. Like, I know from a studio point of view, they want to break it up and they want to have as many movies as possible.
Milk this.
Yeah, milk this. But it's like at a certain point, it's like who gives a fuck about what these apes are doing? I couldn't give a rat's. Oh look. They're getting slowly more complex in their social bonds.
I'm not gonna lie. After rewatching Dawn, and like we'll get onto Dawn afterwards, but I was like, man, I don't give a fuck what happens to these apes up to this point.
I just couldn't care less.
I just don't care.
Yeah, it's like they're like it's like from a technological point of view, it's the motion capture is really good.
And now that the new ones don't have Caesar, I don't know how I'm gonna give a fuck.
Yeah. Well, you see Kingdom. But the first one, it's so good. It's tying back into everything, but it's breathing a new life into it, and it knows why the first one was so good. But it's like that's a separate thing.
It's its own thing.
Halloween was definitely more like we're bringing that into it. This is definitely Rise of Planet of the Apes is its own thing, and it's like taking Caesar.
Having I feel like Halloween 2018, you had to have seen the first one.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
This you can just this was my first Planet of the Apes movie that I properly watched.
Yeah,
and it did not matter.
It doesn't matter.
It's
it's watchable like entirely by itself. You don't need to know the references at all. They're complete. They're basically irrelevant to the plot, and that's what's so great about it.
And that's why that just to add on to what you're saying, that get your hand off me, you damn dirty ape. No.
Yeah.
As a kid, did not know that was a reference.
Exactly, yeah.
Just thought it was its own thing. I was like, that is so fucking good. That scene is perfect.
That sums up the whole movie. Like the movie turns on that point. The whole franchise turns at that point. The whole trilogy turns on that point, and it's just it's a even though it's only it's an hour into the first movie, and
First film's only like an hour and a half.
Yeah, it's lovely and short as well, and yeah, it's a reference to an older, better movie probably. Yeah, definitely a better movie, but like
I don't know about that. I think Rise might be better than the original.
that's fair. That's a fair opinion. That's a fair opinion.
Yeah.
Like it's a reference to the original movie anyway.
Yeah.
But it's not a reference that's the kind of
that's the thing from the first movie. But it also is kind of that. But it works. It stands on its own.
It is, but like that's not the point of the scene. You know, it's not saying like, isn't this so cool that we're saying this. Like the point of the scene is what everyone remembers, where it's Caesar standing up, and all of a sudden, and it's not hinted at any point really in the movie at all.
This
before that,
can speak.
they can talk. Like, he says no, and it's just
It's for sign languaging for most of the film.
Yeah, it's all sign language. And you know, technologically, it's very, very good. The motion capture, you know, the detail and everything that they're doing. The story is great, like kind of how he rises, you know, from being like a lab ape, and you know, he gets this Alzheimer's drug, and you feel really bad for John Lithgow, who's James Franco's father, and it's just like and there's the emotional beats there as well, and you really feel like an actual connection to the characters in the movie, as opposed to like, you know, some of the sequels which aren't really worth talking about, where it's just they're just kind of blank slates and it doesn't really matter what's happening. Battle of the Planet of the Apes, big example of that, where it's and you know, maybe a few others in the franchise as well, which maybe we haven't talked about yet, where it's just like I couldn't give a fuck about what's happening here. In this movie, you're like James Franco, John Lithgow, even James Franco's wife. You're like these are real characters. These are real people, and you like connect to them, and you connect to their connection with Caesar. Yeah. And you can feel Caesar's like a fully formed character in himself as well, with real emotions, human emotions.
There's some TikToker that I like to watch, and he was asked, who do you think is the best character? Is one of the who's the best characters in all of cinema? And he started listing off people, and he's like, Caesar. Caesar is one of the best characters ever written. He was actually like, I actually think it might be my favorite character of all time. And I was like, rewatching these movies, like, I can kind of see why you'd say this. Yeah, I can see why. His
origin story, how he comes up, his rise, like the beats of the structure of it's great.
How he is just like a natural leader.
Yeah,
like just the way that he like, and his plan, he gets the gas. He's like, he starts talking to the orangutan, and he's just like, we need to get these people together. Apes strong, but we alone we're weak. And he's like, yeah, but we're stupid. We can't like all these. They're not awoke yet. They're not woke.
He's woke. Caesar's woke.
We need to wake these fools up. And then he goes off and he gets them. He educates them and gets them all smart, and then they can eventually rise and revolt against the people holding them down.
It's so well done.
It's so well done.
It's so well done.
And even like the bit at the end where like he's fighting off against the police, and like Jerry was like, you go high, yous go low, yous push this out here, and then we're just gonna fucking swarm them, and they take on the police, and they fuck them up.
Yeah, they have a bus, they move the bus, and it's just crazy. But the whole, like, I think without, like, it's the execution. Like, I think from like a technical standpoint, without getting into Dawn, I think Dawn is a better movie, just in terms of structure.
Oh no,
the beats, everything.
When we get onto Dawn, I literally watched that movie and I was like, I thought I had seen Dawn before, and then watching it again, I realized I've actually never seen this movie. I think
really?
It was on in the background, and I was like kind of watching it, and I got like the gist of the movie. But when I was watching it this time, I was like, this is basically a first time watch. Yeah. Because I actually don't know what this movie is actually about, and I actually think it might be one of the best movies I've ever seen.
It's so good. Like it's such an amazing follow up because it's so different.
I think can we just Dawn? Let's just talk about Dawn.
We'll get,
wait.
Just like from like just I don't know, from like a gut standpoint, Rise is just better. From every other point, Dawn is better, but Rise it turns on that moment in the zoo when he he just fucking mogs Draco Malfoy. He just does him in. He just ends him. Yeah, and it's just like, what the hell? This just completely changed the entire world, the entire universe that we're seeing here. Like the story here has just completely changed with one word. And it's amazing storytelling, and the fact that we're so invested in it. And Draco Malfoy, he's just such a
hateable fuck.
He's such a one-dimensional character, but it works because it's, you're like, go on, Caesar, go on, yeah, good, do it, man, do it. And
you got Koba as well in this movie.
Yeah, Koba, yeah.
Who's like
kept fucking coming back.
Who becomes like so much more important in the second movie.
Yeah,
but like in this movie, he's like kind of like the establishment of the B character. And like, but you also like, I was like, oh, he's really tame, which is like when we get into Dawn. But like in this bit where it's like, oh, he's really relaxed, like he's really tame. It's like, oh yeah, he spent his entire life in labs. He's well used to this.
Yeah.
That's like, that is all you need to know to understand Koba. And I said in the first movie, and then it's expanded upon the second movie. Again, we'll get on to the second movie, but this one starts it all off so fucking well.
It's the perfect setup. Which is, and that's the great thing about Rise, is you can see exactly where it's gone.
Yeah, and
it's like, what? Like, it's just, whoa! Like, which direction is this movie is this series going to go in? And then Dawn. Like, Dawn is just such an amazing follow-up. Shot
the very first scene. I like, because I watched these movies back to back. I literally watched The Rise and then I watched Dawn. Because I was like, I'm not gonna, because I thought you were coming over yesterday. I was like, okay, I need to get these movies in. I need to start watching these back to back. It's like, I don't have enough time for War. I probably could have stuck on War when I realized you weren't here, but it doesn't matter. So like watching, like, Rise, and that ends on this like happy note. I was like, oh, okay, cool, grand, yeah. And then talks about like how the play. I also, sorry, that neighbor next door to James Franco and all, he's like depicted as a dickhead. I don't think he did anything wrong, really. Outside of,
he didn't. Yeah.
Outside of finding John Lithgow, which is like, this guy is. Oh, no, he doesn't. He doesn't know that stage that his Alzheimer's back.
That is what?
That's
back.
Yeah, that's back. Because remember, he gets into the car.
And
then he tries to drive it.
Yeah.
But that happens. Like, that's very rapidly comes on.
We just coughs on him by accident.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yeah, no, John Lithgow doesn't. The other guy does the...
Yeah, exactly, yeah. But he doesn't do anything. Like.
Yeah, he doesn't do anything.
He's just kind of, he's like, yeah.
He got his comeuppance. I feel like the film's like, you got your comeuppance, but I don't feel like he deserved it.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that at all, yeah.
But anyway, and you're like, okay, the disease is spread, and then like the credits of this one is like, the disease is spreading, and this is how it all worked. And then it goes boom, and it's just Caesar with fucking face paint on.
Yeah.
And it zooms out slowly, and you see there's loads of them, and you're like, the evolution of this species from the end of the first one to now is insane. And you're like, okay, right, so they're going to war, and then you realize, no, they're not going to, like, he's like, Caesar's like motioning to them, and you're like, oh shit, they all understand him. They all speak sign language. And they get into positions, like, okay, right, they're gonna start fighting. And then it cuts, and it's like they use like the 2001 music, where it's like this like high pitched sound when they're looking at the monolith, and it's like, they're not going to battle, they're hunting for food. They are hunter gatherers. That's how far along they are. Yeah. It's like, just like how this movie depicts the evolution of this like species is so good. So good.
Yeah.
And it's also a Shakespearean tragedy.
yeah. Like it's very well done. I think the human element of Dawn as well is maybe it's probably more refined than the first one.
It's a bit lacking in this one, because this movie is about the monkeys.
It's about Caesar and the boys.
And Caesar's such a good character as well.
And yeah, and you're loving the follow up to the original to the first story. But I still you feel a connection to your man Jason Clarke and Gary Oldman, and he's trying to keep everything together with the lads in the kind of the compound, and they're in a kind of a siege situation with the apes, and it's done very well. It's not as much of an emotional connection, because the apes are like actual active characters in this movie from the beginning.
And like, I think as well as like everything that happens in the movie makes sense as to why a character would react this way or do a certain thing. Like when the humans establish their guns like super close to where the apes are, it's because they said, if you come up here, we're going to come down here and kill every single fucking one of you. And they're like, okay, well, we're going to send up this guy. This is our only chance because we really need their help. This is our only chance. Set up the guns, get ready. Then Kobo comes along. He's like, these motherfuckers are planning an attack on us. It's like, this all why characters are doing these things and how they're reacting to it all makes sense. Because obviously Kobo would be suspicious of him because what was established in the first movie.
Yeah. It's so, the little breadcrumbs, so well done.
And Caesar is such a good character in this one. Just
well more
a leader
developed,
trying to do the best thing. And does do the best thing. But it's betrayed because he's like Jesus.
Caesar is Jesus
he
in
is
the entire
monkey
franchise.
Jesus.
Yeah, and Koba is the Judas, and it's this film I think best deals with like when the humans are kind of kicked off their center of gravity, and they're wrapped up in this compound, and they've clearly been fucked up for a few years, and the monkeys are they have their own kind of a fledgling civilization happening. Just up the hill, like even the interaction there, like your man, like the main character, Jason Clarke goes up as like kind of the ambassador, the emissary of the humans. It's a really great scene. He's in his poncho in the rain. It's, I need to speak to Caesar.
And like he's walking through, and like it's clipping, being like, this is what he's seeing. I just remember this is made by monkeys, and it's like this like crazy artworks and stuff like that.
Yeah. It's so well done. And then it becomes way more ape focused in kind of the last act, I think that's probably the weakest point of the movie is when I think of most of the movies in general for Planet of the Apes is when there is like a big kind of battle between the apes, because it's hard for me personally. It's hard for me to really care what's happening. And this one, Dawn I think does it the best because there is, as you say, like that established nearly like 4-hour build up to what's happening, 3 or 4 hour build up. And you're like, oh shit, like this is when they're facing off. This is a big moment. A lot is going to turn on this. But I think it's still lacking that the human element as much. I think it's needed a bit more.
Yeah, I think for me, the thing when I'm watching this movie is, and I think the first film does it great as well, is like what you're looking at is like major historic events. Yeah. And this film also does that, where it's like
it's great gravitas.
This is the moment. This was the turning point, because the next film is war. But like regardless of that, like you kind of know if there's going to be a third movie, this is going to be good, because what you're seeing is the last chance of humans and apes living in harmony together, and this is how it was taken away.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, like, and it's like. Just the because again, it's like it's so dramatic, it's Shakespearean.
Yeah.
So well done. So for that side of it, like the like human emotional level, like even to be honest, like not like emotional level, like really at all, but as a feeling of an epic, I feel like this film hits super hard.
Yeah, this is definitely like the most dramatic, the most the greatest in scope, the most epic of the movies, which I think kind of exists within the Planet of the Apes universe, like the entire franchise, and that's what's so great about it, because it is such an amazing follow up to Rise, which is global in scope, but it is very self-contained story, which is happening just in one city at one point in time, essentially within one family, and then this is like expanding to a tribal level. And then it keeps expanding a bit, and it's really hard to maintain kind of,
care.
It's really hard to care past a certain point.
So I can only really care about people like within my tribe. Like Dawn is as far as I'm willing to care.
Yeah, well, that's another thing for the other movies. But I know I love Dawn. I love Rise. I love Rise 100%. Emotionally hits the hardest. Those scenes, they're just you can't top them. You can't top them.
Okay, so we have 2 more left. So far, what is your ranking?
So far, well, I forgot what I ranked last time, but
yeah, this might change right now. But we're gonna.
Well,
this is what we're feeling at the moment. This is how people know
right now.
Right now, this is how I'm feeling.
Yeah. Planet of the Apes, the first one, Rise, Planet of the Apes, Dawn, Planet of the Apes.
You have the first Planet of the Apes as the first one.
Yeah.
Mad. Okay, go. Go on.
I can't really remember the other ones.
You have Beneath,
Beneath,
which is the one where they go back in time.
Yeah, well, I like Escape from the Planet of the Apes.
Escape is the one that is the back in time one. Beneath is the one with the telepathic humans.
Yeah, so fourth would be Escape, Beneath would be the fifth, and then Battle would be the sixth. There's a seventh in there, isn't there?
Yeah, there is. There's the
which is definitely
Tim
the last.
Burton one.
Yeah, so that's the seventh one.
That's the last one.
Well, actually, no, sorry, that would go above Battle of the Planet of the Apes.
Okay, yeah. So
yeah.
Our bottom half, it does for me as well. It goes Escape, Battle, Burton, Battle. What the fuck did I just say? Escape, Beneath, Burton, Battle. Jesus, that is so hard. That's okay. So Escape, Beneath, Burton, Battle. Okay, that's the way that it goes. Bottom half. I feel like there's another one in there, but I don't think there is.
I don't think there is. No. Is it?
No, wait. Is there Beyond? There is a Beyond.
There's not a Beyond.
Conquest.
Oh, fuck.
Conquest.
I like the director's cut.
Okay,
that's my third last.
Beyond,
Conquest. Wait,
Beneath, Burton, Battle.
Escape, Conquest, Beneath, Burton, Battle.
Escape. No, I prefer. Okay, Escape.
Yeah.
Beneath. Okay, we're gonna go Escape, Beneath, Conquest, Burton, Battle.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
I agree. I completely agree. What
my
about your
top half
your
is
top
not
three?
the same way
What's
though.
your top three?
My top half is Dawn,
Yeah.
Rise, and then Planet of the Apes, like
Really?
the first one. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
I think Dawn is
is the best one.
like I have on Letterboxd, I have Dawn as a 4.5 star, and the OG being 4 stars. But like the way that I view those two films is that there is quite a leap in quality between a 4.5 star film and a 4-star film.
Yeah.
Like it is so close to being a 5, but there's just a few things I can't give that like pull me away from it.
Yeah.
Which is the emotional element that isn't there.
Yeah.
But Jesus, like it is like by and large like the best one. But when I first watched it, I thought it was kind of bad. I thought it was a kind of shitty movie.
No, it is amazing.
Yeah, that's why when I watched it this time, I was like,
Amazing.
there is no way that I watched this film properly the first time. And like I kind of liked War the first time I watched it. Over time, I've soured on it, but I'm wondering now if I watch it now, will I care more? Will I like it a bit more? I don't know.
Yeah, like it does really depend, and that was something that. Yeah, actually, it was 2011 Rise, and then 2014 was Dawn.
Yeah,
and I loved
War
it.
is like 2018 or 2019. I think.
It's quite late in the game, and yeah, and there's a big leap as well. Like they're taking fucking ages. Like if they're trying to milk it, get them out of it faster, maybe.
To be fair, and this is something that we haven't actually mentioned with Dawn, that ape technology is amazing. That is an orangutan. Like, I'm watching that movie, like, that's not even CGI. That's on an orangutan.
Yeah, I know, yeah. There's a massive leap in Dawn, but there's not so much a leap kind of after that. But there is, you can see.
There's a huge leap between Rise and Dawn.
Yeah, but Rise still really holds up. But Dawn it is on a different level. Like, it's so well done.
It's like
I know the low lighting was kind of to facilitate the CGI, but it works so well. It looks so realistic, and yeah, like it
is the best looking movie as well.
Yeah, it's the most well shot. It's the most dramatic. I think it wasn't Matt Reeves.
It is Matt Reeves.
Is it Matt Reeves?
Matt Reeves.
Yeah. The Batman guy. Like,
yeah.
And it was. I wish they'd kept with the same kind of person, because Rise, I can't remember who did it, but it was another good, decent director.
Yeah.
I don't think it was Matt Reeves though.
It's not Matt Reeves. He only did the second and third one.
Yeah. But I was like, from Rise to Dawn, you're like, I can see where this is going, and like you're hoping it's a trilogy, and then it kind of maybe caps off with kind of a tie-in to the original film. It hasn't really panned out. I assume it will at some point, because it's such an obvious idea, it's such a massive blockbuster idea, that surely they'd go with that.
Do they adopt a kid in the next one? Does Caesar take care of a kid?
There is
in war.
there is a child. Yeah, there's a child.
I'm only thinking about that now. I'm like, because to be fair, that is odds. That is like a bit in Dawn that I really like, where they're like, oh, you're too easy on humans, and she's like, Koba has only seen the worst of humans. I have experienced human love.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm able to recognize that even when a human does like shitty things, like James Franco did to me, I can recognize that there's still love within them.
Yeah.
This is pretty good.
That's a good arc. It's a great arc.
Yeah.
But now, yeah, it remains to be seen. How does it pan out?
How
does this trilogy pan out? How does the quadrilogy pan out?
It's nice to fucking watch some good fucking movies in this franchise. Jesus,
Yeah.
I've been waiting since the fucking first movie to properly like one of these fucking films.
The first three are like, all right, you know.
Beyond is.
Oh, the first one was amazing.
Escape is so good. I can't. Beyond.
Escape
Which
is
one?
great.
Beneath
is fun. It's fun as well.
Yeah, it is fun.
But yeah, I've bad news. I don't have time to
That's
go through
okay.
it. I'm sorry, guys. We've gone on too long. Our love for the Planet of the Apes, for Rise and Dawn in particular, has destroyed, exceeded all reasonable expectations, and we now have no time to talk about I Saw the TV Glow, which I didn't mention at the start of the episode. But
this works out perfectly.
There's actually, you know what? Forget about this.
This is one of our Browntown episodes we used to do when we had no recommended film. It was just let's loosey goose it.
Yeah. We'll just call it Browntown 4 or whatever.
Yeah. Return to the Brown. Return of the Stained Jux.
Rise of the Brown. Yeah.
Rise of the Brown. Brown is back.
The Brown is back. Yeah. So yeah.
So we'll leave I Saw the TV Glow until the next episode.
Yeah, it's grand. Yeah. It's grand. You know,
who cares?
We can
no
work on it.
No one's watching that movie outside of us anyway.
No one's watching our recommended movie. But if you want to watch it, you can watch it for next week or the next 2 weeks.
Good night. God bless.
Bye.